Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Actually Comics. My name is Tristan, and I'm joined today by Bob, who's over there making the bug eyes.
I don't know. I was like, where's the camera? It's pointed in a strange direction today.
Yes, it is actually. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. You're straight on, and I'm like up from I've got a Dutch angle going on. Hey, hi, there I am.
Dutch. At least you don't have a Dutch oven going on.
Oh man, you know there's a good version of a Dutch oven that actually makes delicious baked goods, which
Yes.
the Dutch oven has gotten such a terrible name. Popular culture has really served it poorly. Anyway,
that's why my business called the Dutch Oven failed.
I think possibly. And also, do you serve Dutch babies? Which are fucking delicious.
I
By
have
the way.
not had or served a Dutch baby.
It's literally just a apple pancake in a
Oh.
frying pan, but it's fucking delicious.
It's like a chocolate baby.
I have never had that either.
Oh, that's just the kind of candy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Anyway, all right, so enough eating babies talk. I've finally had enough talk about eating babies for one episode.
Oh, man. You've had your fill.
Because of all the babies I've eaten. All right, so let us talk about this comic that we both read that we are very familiar with and know everything about, called 007 for King and Country number 70? Or 5. Number 5. Number 5.
Number 005. I flipped through it. The art's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. I flipped through everything except for Grim Fairy Tales and maybe a couple others. I'm
fair.
not sure.
We didn't even care enough about Grim Fairy Tales to put it on.
It's out if you want it. It's on
It
the
is.
website.
It does exist, and we do carry it. Because we have one person who wants it, so we do that.
Yeah.
Abbott, 1979. This series was really awesome. I liked it quite a bit in its original format, but I have not read this issue.
This issue is good. It takes place Abbott's
In 1979.
Go figure. It takes place 6 years after the last series, Abbott 1973.
Damn.
And it's
Time is so squishy.
Yeah, it's the ongoing battle of light versus dark that seems to power so many comics this week.
Comical books.
Comical books.
They love that dichotomy of light
What
and
if
dark.
dark was light? What
Dude.
if evil was light and good was dark?
Oh man, you're freaking blowing my mind. What if we were just like molecules in like a giant's toenail, man?
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
That'd be fucking crazy. How about Archie Halloween? Really, you can't. I can't even say it.
Spooktacular?
No, because it isn't a spooktacular. It's a fucking spectacular. And no, you cannot have something. If you're going to use the word spectacular at Halloween, it needs to be a goddamn spooktacular. And I refuse to accept that this is not called the Halloween Spooktacular. And so, for me, this is the Archie Halloween Spooktacular.
It is. It's actually really good. It's got some great classic reprints in it and a nice cover gallery of all the various monster-themed Archie classic comics from the past.
And Archie is dressed up as an Archie Comics character who is a murderous hangman. Is that what his deal was?
Oh, is it the Hangman from the Red
Hangman.
Circle comics?
He's the guy with he's dressed up with the
You'd have to
skeleton
show me
suit
the
and he's got the skeleton costume and the red cape or black cape with the red.
I don't know. I thought he was just wearing a skeleton costume.
No, that is because of the little thing there. Is it the Terror? The Terror.
The Terror.
He is the Terror.
Wait, is that Archie? I thought the Terror was different.
I mean, currently it
Public
is owned
domain.
by. Well, yeah, it's currently owned by Dynamite, I believe, and Dynamite likes to take public domain characters and
then say they
own them.
Yes.
Even when the creator of Jet Boy is alive, they're like, Jet Boy's ours. Nobody took it, and he's like, I'm still here.
I was saying ownership.
Yes.
Boo ownership.
I was saying Boo Earns. How about Boo Atman? Number 138. It's the Misfits edition of Batman.
Yes, Batman 138.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's the Gotham War.
There's not really a lot you could say about it without kind of like giving away. He does some Batman's starting to do some real fucked up shit. And whereas previously I was like, why would anyone not be on Batman's side in this? Now I'm kind of like, oh, that's why, because he did that fucked up shit. But so something's clearly amiss.
It definitely feels like
within
that is,
the brain of the Bat.
Yeah, there seems to be a bunch of stuff, like they keep doing that with Batman, where they're just like, okay, since we already know that he's a hero and we need to have conflict here, let's just make him do things that he wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know.
Although at least he is going ham on the not killing part. He's still not killing.
That is true.
That's good.
And it is Zdarsky, so I will give it...
Yeah, no, it's good. It was an enjoyable read.
I will give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's see. Oh, my little Coast City sticker is being obfuscated a little bit. Whatever. You can't see his little doodly boppers.
Oh.
That's fine. Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
Yep. It's animation.
It's
and
good. It's a good quality comic book.
You know,
And if you want a classic style Batman,
Sure.
then you can't get more classic than this.
I mean, classic Bruce Timm style.
Well, yeah, but that's really
Yeah.
classic Batman.
Sure
when
is.
you get that like boiled down to the, he's not like
Boiled down Batman. Some of my favorite.
boiled down to the core concept.
What about Birds of Prey?
Love it. I love it. There is the deepest dive character. I was like, me being like a deep DC person for my entire life, and there was like
Yes.
this character that shows up, and I was like, where do I know that character
I was here
from?
for this moment. That
You were
was
here. You're reliving it now for
and
the
I was
sake
like,
of the
how
audience.
in the hell is this a character that you would from the
Like a total
most forgettable
it
series.
is a character who appeared in the 90s Barbara and Carl Kiesel Hawk and Dove series, like post Liefeld series, like the ongoing. And it's like a character that, as far as I know, has only appeared in that series. And I was like, holy shit. I actually had to Google it. I was like, where do I know this character from? I did recognize the character, but I was like, who, what, where? And then I found out it's from, and I was like, damn. That's doing you homework.
It is.
It was good. It was enjoyable. I really like Birds of Prey. It's good.
Speaking of comics, I did not read this week. Black Panther #5 is out.
Give it a flip.
Yeah, I feel like I was really enjoying this for a hot minute, and then I just kind of forgot to pick it up this time.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
Sames.
Bloodborne, The Bleak Dominion.
I also gave this a flip, but could not
This
tell
is
you a thing about it.
Legitimately the third time we've had this comic in like 3 or 4 weeks. It is really annoying because 100% this just keeps this is like Diamond distribution issues. Like I ordered them all at the same time, and then they've just trickled in. And so it's as though they're coming out, but they're not. They were supposed to be out 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
Christ.
I see.
How is Diamond still in business?
It's
Is
just
the question that everyone keeps asking.
born blood.
How about Blue Beetle?
It's good. I like this. I like this team on Blue Beetle, and I was happy that the cliffhanger at the end was resolved in such a way that Ted Kord is not dead.
Yes.
Because
Not killing Ted Kord.
Not killing Ted Kord is a good move.
I mean, especially since they've killed him so many times before.
well, once for real and once for fake
Yes.
outsies.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That was a fake out.
Yep,
Buffy, the lastest of the Vampire Slayers.
it's fine.
It's fine,
Just fine.
says Bob. Captain Marvel Dark Tempest.
It's a comic book starring Captain Marvel.
Sure is. Darkwing Duck.
I
Ironically, also a comic book starring Captain
I
Marvel.
know, it's so
somehow.
weird.
So,
Strangest crossover ever. I mean, they are both owned by Disney, right?
yep. So it absolutely could happen. But on to one of my favorite books of the week, of course. That would be the terribly pun-enhanced DC's Ghouls Just Wanna Have Fun.
Oh, ghouls.
Oh my goodness.
They wanna have fun.
I
liked it.
enjoyed every single story in this thing.
I thought it was a quality book.
When you were like, there's like 2 or 3 things in it, and I was like, cool, I'll read those. And then I kept reading, and I was like, this one's great, this one's great, this one's great, this one's great. I
yeah.
liked everything in it.
They were, but I will say, for me, the star of the show, knowing who I am,
course.
the star of the show was that heartbreaking Robot Man story.
My favorite one. There was a great moment. So this isn't really a spoiler. He's being haunted by the ghosts of people who he has let down in his life.
Well, and people who have died.
And who have died because he let them down.
All the dead cast members of Doom
Yes.
Patrol, which there are significantly more than I knew about them all, but I was like, I never really thought about them all at once.
And my favorite part was he's walking up the stairs and the punk rock kid is there, and he's like, and as soon as you left, I died, and he was like, I don't even remember who you are. So if that tells you anything about your impact on the world.
Oh man,
was
was
like,
that was it Karma? Was that
Something
who
like
it was?
that.
I gotta look. You can keep going,
But there's so many good ones. The Superman one is wonderful.
oh, and
but,
Javier Rodriguez did the art.
Yeah,
It's like bam.
Just, I mean, honestly, there are a bunch of them that are really good. I even really liked the Lobo one, where they just make a joke out of the fact that he looks like Jason Momoa, so they dress him up like Aquaman, and then he gets in a fight with King Shark because he thinks he's Aquaman, and it's just fun and stupid, and somehow Lobo doesn't just knock King Shark's head off. I don't understand how that happened, but maybe he was in a good mood.
It was Karma. That's the guy.
Yes.
His name's Wayne.
Wayne Karma.
Wayne. His superhero name was Karma. I didn't know he. I didn't know he died either.
I
also didn't know Fever from the John Arcudi run was dead.
I wish his name was Karma and he went by Carl as a superhero name or whatever. That's something I have never seen done before. Is like some random, like somebody who has like a superhero name as their actual birth name, and then they go as like Tim.
I just want to be called Tim.
I would just rather be Tim. Okay. Oh, sorry. Dead by Daylight is a comic book, and
is that the one that's in the bag?
It is in a bag, and just in case you were worried, one of the characters does love farts, as it says.
I did see that on the cover.
Loves farts, and you can get an in-game code. Hopefully for some sort of T-shirt that says "I love farts." That would be probably the best thing we could get. This is a reprint here that we have of Detective Comics number 140. That would, of course, be the first appearance of the Riddler.
Yes.
He's like the Joker, but less funny.
It also has the boy Commandos, and let me get closer to my microphone so I'm normal sounding. It also has, what else was in that? Slam Bradley, but with like significantly better art than any that I remembered previously, and there's a few other features in there that are pretty cool. I love these facsimile editions, even if they are a little slightly smaller than they would have been when they were first published, and a little, therefore, slightly muddier. They still are cool, and you get all the ads and the fun stuff, and you get to experience the past in a whole new light.
Yep. There it is. You just saw me because I was finishing reading this Doctor Strange comic that I didn't finish reading.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually read.
As it turns out, it's fucking awesome. I'm not a huge fan of the style of art that they're using for this.
You know, like Pasquale Ferry.
I do normally, but I think it might be the coloring.
It's with Marvel. It usually is.
It's very pastel-y, and it's like it's light and airy. And for a story that literally is like taking place in a hell realm, it's like kind of an odd choice of.
Yeah.
Look.
I like this comic too much, so I actually I save it up a little bit, so I didn't read it cover to cover today.
Also, like, obviously, looking at this cover, this is an Alex Ross cover, I presume.
Yeah, definitely.
And holy shit, man. What an amazing cover. I know Alex Ross is Alex Ross, and it doesn't need to be said that he's good at what he does, but holy shit, this is an exceptional piece of art. That is a beautiful cover.
Cool.
Fantastic Four number 12.
This is goofy fun.
Goofy
fun. It's Fantastic Four get trapped in a world where everything is a dinosaur, and if anyone else drew it, it would be just kind of one note. But like, it's Ryan North, so
I wish
it's
it
like
was everything is a dinosaur.
Everything is a dinosaur. Well, every person is a dinosaur, and so like Iron Man is flying around with armor, but it's a pterosaur or whatever.
Yep.
But like, it's Ryan North, so every dinosaur is like named and identified, and like, it's very different than like that Jurassic League where it was just kind of like concept wise it was great, but like execution wise it wasn't. Oh, and then the dinosaur Fantastic Four are on the regular Earth with the regular superheroes.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
That's gotta be disturbing for your friends and family to just one day find out that you've been replaced by dinosaurs.
Yep.
I don't know. Another standout from DC, Fire and Ice.
So good.
This
I love it.
miniseries is awesome.
And not only that, but it is a like one of the better modern appearances of Ambush Bug in this issue. Very, very good.
It's
comic is
true.
great. Also features a bunch of like weird also ran characters that are really fun to see. That if you are a fan of DC and particularly the JLI era of the Justice League, the
Yes.
80s Giffen De Mateus era, there's some cool throws in there.
There's a lot of good throws to JLI this week, actually.
Yeah. Blue Beetle had actually a good one too.
And the Animal Man.
Oh yeah.
From,
yeah.
Okay, Ghost Lore.
Oh man, I like Ghost Lore, and there's a Ghost Lore trade out this week as well.
There is.
Get
yes.
it if you haven't been reading Ghost Lore as a series and you're interested in trades, get the trade because it's out now, and Ghost Lore is one of my favorite current books. I really like it.
Man, I'm making a mess of this thing.
Do it.
Oh, sorry, I'm fucking it all up.
Clean it up.
Damn it. All right. Oh, why didn't I fucking read this?
I don't know, because
because
honestly, it's like pretty much like
looks
right up your alley.
really good. What the hell? It's a fucking Halloween Ghost Rider? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it's just him and he fights the Hood.
Awesome.
And it's very much like were I in the market for a new Ghost Rider comic book, I might purchase this one. I thought it was quite good for a Ghost Rider comic.
I mean,
modern Ghost Rider comic.
I hate the Hood, so I'd like to see him getting beaten up. So.
Well, you get that.
We have GODS.
What's it spell?
I don't know. Are those periods? I don't know.
Dog.
Yes.
I'm dyslexic, so.
No, fair. Gods number 1. This is Jonathan Hickman doing his I'm gonna fix your universe.
SNOOZE.
I would have to agree with that assessment. It is a straight up snooze. If you're really obsessed with Doctor Strange, you might want to check it out. There's some interesting.
Yeah, he's in it for like 3 pages.
There's some interesting ideas in it, but man, I don't know, dude.
I don't know,
it's not my thing.
And it's $10.
And it's $10.
$10 fucking dollars for a comic, for a single issue of a comic book.
And also,
it's like Marvel. Like, come on, people will need to earn money to buy your fucking comics.
And it also seems like it's another one of those Marvel comics that is just to get you to another place.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Like, it feels like, hold on, fans are going to need to know that we're here because we built something up. We can't just say that we're here. And so you're going to have to sit through this garbage comic. And it's like, well, then just don't read it. And it's like, okay, well, then I just spent hundreds of dollars carrying this book for nothing because I'm going to tell people not to read it. So, but I mean, it is true.
I mean, I think Marvel fans, like diehard, like Marvel fans, should read it because it'll be like something that you have to have read in order to understand something else down the road.
That is frustrating, but true. But also, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
Unfair.
The art's great.
The art's incredible, and I mean, it is Jonathan Hickman. I was just taken out of it immediately because there was just a very simplistic reading of good and evil at the beginning of it that I was like, Jonathan Hickman, really? You're undertaking this giant project to fix the whole of magic in the Marvel universe, and your take on good and evil is light and dark, and you never go into any detail about what those concepts mean. It's like that.
I feel like for me, like I would sell it as this will be a thing that like if you get this and read it, then like and you follow the series, like if you're planning on following the series, like a year from now there will be like some toss back to this one issue and you'll be like, oh, that's so cool, there's like these layers or whatever, because that's his style of, and the art is good. Yeah, you know, like you can't deny that the art is good. It's just like, I don't know, man, it put me to sleep.
Well, I'm gonna take another look at it, and I'm also going to put up Godzilla Here There Be Dragons.
This is the Pirate Godzilla.
This is Pirate Godzilla, but we have my favorite of the main themed villains of Godzilla. I can't remember his name, but he's the big lobster.
Oh yeah, Lobster Man.
Lobster Man from Mars.
Yes.
Also a fine film from the 80s.
Oh, I've never
Lobster
seen it.
Man from Mars. The Joker, Man Who Stopped Laughing.
You know, I'm not terribly interested in it. To be fair, that said, it read a lot. It read like the people who made it kind of were like, well, we're guaranteed to not get canceled, so like let's listen to what people are saying about it and fix it based on that, because it really read like a more focused version of what it was previously. That said, it's a comic with the Joker. You're either going to buy it or you're not. It's
that is the truth.
There's going to be people who do. It also has Killer Moth in it. You like Killer Moth?
I mean, obviously, people are in it for Killer Moth.
I'd buy a Killer Moth comic.
There aren't that many Joker fans, but there's a ton of people out there who are just like dressing up like Killer Moth. They're just like, I'm inspired to be an incel because I love Killer Moth.
Killer Moth.
Because I just have lights around my house.
Changed my name to Cameron Von Clear.
Cameron Von Clear,
which is actually still my 100% my favorite supervillain.
That is
it's just like, because like every other supervillain gets a like, he's like Mr. Moth, and he's like, my name's Mothman, and they're like whatever, and then like this guy is like, but the thing about Killer Moth that is like, unfortunately, that first appearance of Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, where she kicks the shit out of him and has no training, and she just like, that turned the character into a joke. But before that, Killer Moth was literally the anti-Batman, and he was a badass. And I wouldn't mind seeing him get back to that, but whatever. He's in this. There's a bunch of other Mad Hatters in it, and Crazy Quilt, and a couple other weird Batman villains.
Yep.
Yep.
Justice Society 1 through 3.
Is that the one with the previews, or is that just 1 through 3?
That is collecting 1 through 3 of the hit series, the Gold Edition.
Yes. I mean, hey, it's all 3 issues if you missed them.
Sure is. Maleficent.
That is
all 1 issues of that thing. This is Masters of the Universe, Forge of Destiny. I'm guessing that if you like Masters of the Universe, this is a comic book that you'll enjoy, and if you don't, it's going to be so incomprehensible as to turn your mind into a total pile of oatmeal.
That's pretty much what happened.
There you go. All right. So here's one that we want to actually talk about, which would be Dark Horse Comics presents Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt and Bill Crabtree and Jim Campbell in The Midnight Show. This is a fun monster book with classic monsters and a premise that we've seen a couple times, Night of the Ghoul, a couple other things that have come out in the last few years. Oddly, it feels very similar. Midnight Monster Hunter, etc., etc.
Or what was that one? The where monsters lie, or whatever. I mean, a little bit. Like,
except it doesn't have the theater.
No,
like, it just felt like there were so many movies that felt like Popcorn the movie. By the way, if you haven't seen Popcorn the movie, see it. It's great.
What about Popcorn the song by Hot Butter?
Listen to
or
that too.
Is Hot Butter the song by Popcorn?
No,
Popcorn is the song by Hot Butter. Hey, can you turn the camera on me? All right, so this is an exclusive for the people who watch the video. Here's my review of this comic book. You ready?
Oh my God.
If you're just listening, you don't know what I thought about this comic book, but if you watch the video, you know.
Oh wow, there it is.
You know how strong or weak
that's marketing. That's marketing.
Trying to boost some ratings.
Look at that shit.
I gave it 2 thumbs up.
It was 2 thumbs up. Yeah, this is a great comic. This is Cullen Bunn doing his best Cullen Bunning.
Yeah.
And it's classic monster stuff done. One thing I will say about this this book. Okay, so I loved it. I say 2 thumbs up too.
Nice.
So 100%.
That's 4 thumbs up.
So there's at least 4 thumbs up for this book. However, I do want to say this is a book that I was reading in that way that like people were saying things about. Have you seen the footage of like the U2 concert?
Where
at the weird dome thing in Las Vegas, where it's just such overkill of information everywhere. It's just a sphere of just madness everywhere.
That's terrible, and it's
all
horrifying. The information about U2.
Well, it's whatever it is. Like U2 is playing, and there's just like visual overload everywhere. God. And someone said, if a caveman came in here, they'd have a fucking seizure or whatever, and absolutely they would. I would say if this is the first comic book you've ever read, you would have no clue what is happening in this book. This is an advanced comic book for advanced comic book readers.
Okay.
Because the narrative is so free and loose and switches back and forth between scenarios so quickly that even there were moments when I was like, okay, you'd better be real careful here or I'm going to get lost. I'm like, okay, it's a good thing that this story is simple enough because the actual visual representations,
you just
again,
sort of
they're
need to
brilliant.
know a little bit
You have to know about
like the movies as well, not just
Sure.
not just the comic books.
Because you are switching back and forth from people watching a movie to things happening in the real world, and they are tying together in odd ways, and
the visual language they use to tell you that it's a film that you're watching as opposed to a person watching the film in real life is very subtle. I will say that's maybe something they could have jacked up a little bit to make it more obvious, but that said, I knew.
But again, like I said, I think it's a comic for advanced comic readers. Yes. It really is like, if you've read comics your whole life, you know exactly what the hell's going on. But I think if it was your first comic, you would be confused.
Yeah.
Whereas if My Little Pony Camp Big Hoof was your first comic book that you'd ever read, you would be like, why do people read comic books? And then you'd throw yourself off a bridge.
With this, I do want to shout out with Midnight Show. Number one, there's a cool Dan Brereton cover.
Yes.
Which is not the one we showed you tonight.
I love Dan Brereton. Please hold it up for those who are...
Here's this... another video exclusive, folks.
I'm a huge fan of Dan Brereton. Yeah. I actually am a big fan of Nocturnals, his indie comic. I was a big fan of his little bits in Iron Fist. Every time they would do every time they would go into like a dream sequence or like they'd go to Kunlun or whatever it was, there was some sort of thing where it would be like a break. And then that thing in some of the annuals would just go to a Dan Brereton thing, and it would be his art represents some sort of. And I think they've done that.
Realm.
Yeah, I feel like they've done that with a few things where Brereton is like the dream realm or something else because his art is so singular. Like you know it instantly. Like there, half a panel, and you're like, oh, hey, Dan Brereton. It's I think
I really liked his 60s Batman Thrill Killer series.
Yes,
too.
Thrill Killer was amazing.
It was Batgirl and Robin, I think it was. But that was cool. That was Chaykin, I think, wrote that, though.
And Psycho.
Oh, yeah, the Psycho.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. The New Golden Age Special Edition.
Yeah, this is the one that has the previews of the upcoming sexy new series.
And it looks way too sexy.
One of them is way
surprised.
too fucking sexy. I'm sorry. Like if
I was looking at this, and
but that said, it's not targeted at me. So okay, maybe that's what you want. I just I don't know, like a full like 3 pages of that shit. Like okay.
Oh, that's not even what I was worried about. It's like if it was handled like a book from the 50s, I'd be like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It's like a sexy gay bathtub thing that I'd be like, okay, cool, that's great. And you're reappropriating it for a time period.
Yeah.
It just feels very modern. Like it feels a little too Riverdale for me.
Yeah, it's very Riverdale. That's good.
Why is everybody so fucking like hot and 17?
Fucking ripped too. I mean, I know it's superhero comics, whatever.
Ripped to shit.
The Wesley Dodds, Riley Rosmo, Wesley Dodds looks really good, and then there's There's also a preview of that new Flash, Golden Age Flash.
Flash looks good. I think I'm into that one.
Yeah, we'll see. It's the writer of the old Flash, so I'm psyched that he's still working on Flash on some level.
And of course, again, we don't need to sell this one too much because it is phenomenal, and everybody knows it's great. If you listen to this and listen to anything that we say, understand this: Kyle Starks is very funny, and Peacemaker Tries Hard is the first time they've gotten the character correct.
There's also
in some way that is fun.
There's a totally random, like as far as I know, first appearance of a character in here that's like handled in such a way that's like has nothing to do with the story. It's just a throwaway, but it's like a version of Deathstroke that's called Dance Stroke. And I just I don't know if that character has actually appeared somewhere else.
I don't think so.
But it's like the way it's just like so like they're just hanging out in Peacemaker's room, like just hanging out like the Vigilante did in the TV show, kind of.
Yeah. True.
It's weird. I don't quite get it, but I loved it. And man, Red Bee, you really got a swan song in this one.
It's fun. It's a super fun comic. Anyway, Poison Ivy is out. Actually, this one looked pretty good. I flipped it, and I was
think,
like,
I think
it's
they all look
cool.
pretty good. I just like it's not really my
No.
bag, but it looks good.
Yeah,
Goodish.
it looks interesting. It's interesting because it has kind of a. This now sounds like an insult, but it feels like they're kind of cribbing Swamp Thing for her. Like, I've never seen her treated so much like Swamp Thing. Like, she basically she's like a surrogate Swamp Thing in this comic, particularly, where she's teaming up with Killer Croc, which is actually pretty fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
Oh man, you know what I realized I just forgot to mention too is that Ghouls Want to Have Fun comic.
Yes.
There's a Tyler Crook story in there too.
Yeah.
We didn't
Holy
mention
crap.
that. Yeah, there's the artistic talent in that one shot is really good. Sorry to throw back to that.
No, not at all.
Just realized we forgot to talk about it.
Power Rangers Ranger Academy is a comic book that is out. It is not something that I would be reading.
Yeah.
I am too old.
It looks
to
like a
have been
Boom
of-
Studios
Yeah.
Power Rangers comic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, unfortunately, I was born too early to have caught the Power Rangers bug. I did love Super Sentai crap, but the version that had the stuff tucked into it. Sorry, when I was in college and getting wasted and watching something on TV that had Super Sentai crap in it, it was Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. So
Wow. I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
it was a super garbagey version of the Power Rangers done by USA Network.
Oh wow.
And it was terrible, and
Sounds
I
great.
loved it because
I've
it was
loved almost everything that the USA Network put out, but I don't remember that.
with the exception of Silk Stockings, I assume.
Oh,
Did
I
you
don't
watch
know.
a lot of Silk Stockings?
Well, I did watch a lot of Red Shoe Diaries. Is that adjacent? Silk Stockings?
I don't think so.
No.
But it is. I mean, it basically is.
Like, I mean, if it's USA Network, its chances are like 50% at least that it's softcore porn.
Yeah. Stories are welcome. Is that USA where stories are welcome or characters welcome?
Sure.
I think
don't
so.
know. Can't remember.
Anyway, Red Goblin number 9.
Still Goblin.
Still Goblin after all these years would be a great name for a Green Goblin comic. Rocketeer and In the Den of Thieves.
I forgot to flip through that one.
Well, if you like the Rocketeer, you'll like it. If you don't, you're gonna hate it.
Yep.
And if you like being sad, you'll like a Rick Remender comic called Sacrificers.
Or if you just like a good story.
I mean, sure.
I don't know. You start to get the sense of what it means to be one of the sacrificers, and it's not awesome.
It's not as awesome as you'd think.
One of them
from
really
the
did think it
first
was going to
issue.
be awesome. Yeah, right. The first issue,
Where
but
they're
like the
tearing
second
a
issue,
crying child away from his family to go to the sacrifice.
well, right. But in the next one, then you get the orca lady
That's true.
that's like pampered her whole life and treated like royalty, and then they like get there and there's like a huge feast, and they're like, oh, it's great, but it turns out it's not totally great. Go figure. You couldn't have figured that out. In general, I still think Sacrifices is the best book on the stands.
it is an amazing book.
If I had a third thumb, I would put it up.
I would say as far as Rick Remender books go, this is, if you were a fan of Lowe, this is in the family of Lowe, as opposed to in the family of any of his goofball crazo nonsense.
It's not the scumbag.
It's not scumbag version of Rick Remender. This is the Lowe version of Rick Remender. It's not a black science version of Rick Remender either. It is more of a
Yeah.
I
Nope.
think honestly the only thing that I can compare it to is Lowe, because it's the only thing he's done that has not had that comedic, like, offhanded,
right.
I'm just fucking around tone that he sometimes gets.
Yep.
I like it as a fan of punk rock jackoffs. I like his I like his vibe.
I have absolutely no hesitation saying that it is my favorite comic book being published right now in single issue form.
Jesus.
I think it is fantastic.
It's
I
up
love the
there.
art. I think the story is I think it's executed perfectly.
Nice. And you would say the same thing about Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, number 124, I presume?
I would. It is my favorite comic being published in single issue form, and it's executed perfectly.
I mean, here's the thing. It's a 10 out of 10 for a Scooby-Doo comic.
Yeah.
Like, that is the thing about these Scooby-Doo books, is that like this and the Batman crossover, and like anytime they do a Scooby-Doo book, they're not screwing around. And that, I think, is one of those things where people are genuinely, non-ironically, myself included in this group, fans of Scooby-Doo. So if they get a chance to work on a Scooby-Doo book, they give a shit. Like, nobody phones it in when they get to work on Scooby-Doo. And that's why you had good Scooby-Doo movies, and you've had good Scooby-Doo series and all that. Like, for some reason, it's just a character that people are like, no, we gotta do this right, because it's fucking Scooby-Doo.
One thing I will say that I don't understand about the Scooby-Doo series is that it's the only DC comic book that is on glossy paper.
And
I
$2.99.
do not know. Is it only $2.99?
It is.
Wow.
It is because it is a kid's book, and kids' books are always $2.99.
Huh. So they do know.
Well, interesting.
Motherfuckers.
Interesting. They can release. They
can
draw
put
the
out a
line
comic.
at $2.99.
Yeah, they can put out a $2.99 comic.
We're drawing the line at $9.99 over at DC Comics these days.
I mean, they are. Marvel's drawing the line at like $14.99.
Marvel's drawing the line.
$36 trades.
Marvel will never draw the line. That I still am personally. I mean, I guess personally makes sense because it was me who suffered the financial loss of this particular purchase. I'm personally offended by that fucking Planet of the Apes omnibus. I bought it without looking at it, without really looking, because I just assumed that this was all of the magazines and all the comics and like all this stuff put together into a 1,000-page something odd thing. It was a 200-page omnibus, in sarcastic air quotes, of whatever, just the magazine stuff, for $75. It was so slim, it was the size of an average DC hardcover.
Weird.
And they were charging $75 for it, and I was just like, it was criminal how much they were charging for that book. Like, it will never sell at $75. And it is not something, and you cannot send back comics. That's not a thing anymore.
Oh. Say it's damaged.
It's weird. There's like knife holes in it. I don't know.
It's weird. This comic is just bad.
I had to send it back because the comic was not good. And the thing is that, like, now I just want to take it home. Because I'm like, well, I could knock it down in price, or I could just take it home, because I do love those Marvel magazine Planet of the Apes comics. So,
yeah. Man, you know what I want for Marvel magazine? I want, what's the one that...
Blade?
No.
I want that.
There's one, Monsters.
Oh, Monsters Unleashed?
It might be Monsters Unleashed.
It's the Mort Todd one?
No, it's not the Mort Todd one. It's
Is it the one where they talk in fumetti? Where it's like...
No, it's the only early Tiger appearance I don't have.
Oh, Chillers.
It's not Marvel Chillers, but it's called like Monsters Unleashed or Monsters Unlimited or something. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, there's one, and Chris Claremont wrote it, and Tony DeZuniga did the art.
Weird.
And it's like...
Is that Daphne Zuniga's dad?
I don't know, but Tony Zuniga was the original artist of Black Orchid, and those comics are great. Tony Zuniga is a great
absolutely.
artist.
Those are great.
Yeah, or the ones that he drew are great anyway.
Yeah,
2 of the 6 or something.
I would love to have a collection of the Rampaging Hulk issues.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a Marvel magazine.
Bizarre Adventures.
Honestly, I would like any of those to show up in omnibus forms. I would probably buy all of them because I like those
magazines.
Series. I mean, I also like the fact that they can go and do totally nutso shit. That's what's so fun about those magazines, is that they're off comic code. And so Marvel was just like, that's where you get, like, that was Marvel doing the Black Label stuff that DC would have done if there hadn't been public outrage about Batman's dick. Whereas Marvel was just like, oh no, they love this.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
want to see Dracula's dick?
Sure, we'll do whatever. It's just like,
hey, check it out. I got Frankenstein's dick over here.
come on.
Everybody's
$2,
dick.
$2.
It's called Dick's Illustrated.
Illustrated Dicks.
That was just National Lampoon.
It sure was.
Ew.
No, that was just chesty ladies.
That's true. There's a lot of butt shots in National
I sure
Lampoon,
hated
too.
that when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was mad about those busty
never
ladies.
liked finding a National Lampoon when I was a kid. God.
You know what I did like finding as a kid?
What?
Shazam!
Shazam! Are you a big fan of Gomer Pyle?
Golly, Sergeant Carter, he said, and then turned into a big superhero.
Yeah.
It's a comic. Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. She's naked.
And it is Fatal Exams.
I get it. It's like final exams, but you die.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a very promising...
There's no career forward in that.
I want Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, is a punk rocker. When is that coming out?
You know, pitch it to Dynamite. Honestly, they'll just fucking do anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Here's a comic that I actually like that is surprising. I mean, I guess it isn't surprising. I like it. Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's cool. This is actually a good comic from a publisher that kind of doesn't do very good comics, but this is actually pretty fun. If you're a fan of the series, it's the further adventures of your friendly neighborhood murder Santa. We also have a King Spawn. That is number 26.
Nice.
It's got a nice clown cover on there.
Ew, it's that clown. Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves the clown. So why don't you?
Why don't I?
Everybody loves it. So anyway, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's not Brave New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
That would be the one where everybody's taking soma and having sex.
Wait, what?
Brave New World, Aldous Huxley.
Oh, yeah. I thought you
is-
were talking about some weird Star Trek series I didn't know about. It's like
If
they have
only.
sexy sex comics.
Sexy sex comics.
Sexy sex Star Trek. Sex Trek.
Yeah, Brave New World. It's that book
Yeah.
that
No, I know.
basically describes exactly the world that we live in right now.
Sometimes I hear words that
100%, and is fucking horrifying.
yeah. But I will occasionally hear a series of words that I would normally understand, but because of where my brain is like
Fair.
resting at that
yeah.
exact moment, I'm like, what does that mean?
In a pop culture world, surrounded by all the nonsense that we are now, yeah, of course. This is the Scorpius Run, number 2, and then we have Star Trek Halloween.
Where they celebrate Halloween the only way they know how.
With holographic wieners.
With wieners.
This is Star Trek Defiant, number 8. Meh. I'm not going to Star Trek because I don't want to. That's my impression of Star Trek Defiant.
I have Star Trek Oppositional Defiant Disorder.
Star Trek mildly petulant. Let's see. We've got Star Wars this time. Darth Vader, number 39.
Yay.
That took every brain cell I had to figure out what that comic was. That was
There's
sad.
a lot of weird, there's like just a lot of subheadings.
Because it's the dark droids and the
Dark
names of
Darth.
Vader versus Octuparara droid. Is that one of those weird... I don't know what that is. It's not one of those weird monks that puts his brain into a spider robot, is it?
Is there a person who's like sees this comic and is like, Octuptara droid? Holy shit! Sorry to scream into the microphone.
Billion trillion %.
I've been waiting for Vader to face off against that droid my whole life.
If you think that's not true, you don't know what Star Trek is all about. I mean, that's...
I heard that they stopped calling the music jizz.
Yes, I've heard that they're... So after I blame myself. I blame myself for bringing this up.
Yeah, you put it back into the zeitgeist, man.
I feel like I put it into the zeitgeist.
Our music is called jizz. Oh, my God.
The Jizz Whalers, Disney is quietly replacing the term jizz with something else. I don't know what they're doing, but they don't want it to
They're going to call it Jaws.
They don't want the modal nodes to be jizz whalers anymore.
I'm going to look it up while you talk about this comic.
Sure. But that is the thing about. So this is Star Trek High Republic Shadow of Starlight is out. It's a new one shot. No, not
I think you said Star Trek, but it's Star Wars.
Keep saying Star Trek over and over again.
Because the Star Trek comics are right next to the Star Wars comics.
It's driving me crazy.
It's association.
It is. But talking about Star Wars, it is this. I keep thinking about this thing, and this is really poncy and silly, but it is funny how people like to talk about how our society is decaying because pop culture is there, superhero movies, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, we're literally looking at our new mythology. We're not religious. We're not doing all of the things that people did during the Renaissance. So you're literally like, people get obsessed with Star Wars because it is a mythos that you can go so far down the rabbit hole of that it's basically like a religion. The same thing with Lord of the Rings and those sorts of things, where it's like you literally have people who are fans of something like this and they become religious about it. And so when they see these little deep dives, it's like, oh shit, Job's coming into this. Oh fuck, I can't wait to see him.
I can't wait for Lot to appear.
Oh shit.
By the way, it's being called Jats.
Boo.
Jats.
You know what?
We don't play jizz. We play jats.
You know what? I think the internet needs to get together the way the internet can and turn the word jats into a term for jizz.
Yes.
So that now
just whatever they name it becomes
every single time. And now like Urban Dictionary, get on this shit. Get out there, get on Wikipedia and be like, oh, jats? That just means ejaculation.
Oh man, I really got my jats off.
Exactly. Let's do this. Let's please.
We're gonna weaponize jats.
Just fuck with Disney on every level.
I'm all for it, man.
It'd be super fun.
Fight the power.
More Dark Droids. We got Bounty Hunters. This is always an awesome series. This is just straight up fun, dumb shit. I always love the Bounty Hunter series. This is like the one Star Wars comic that I can pick up any week and enjoy it 100%. Nice. Whereas like I'll pick up like Dr. Aphra and be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I don't.
Darth Vader is usually pretty solid. And even that, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what's happening here.
The only one that occasionally grabs me is Hyperspace Stories.
Hyperspace Stories has been super fun, too. The Dark Horse stuff has been really good.
Yeah.
Strange Academy with the amazing Spider-Man.
He's so amazing, that man of Spider.
Man, that Spider is amazing.
He's so great.
Tear Us Apart.
Yes.
Tear Us Apart will love us again.
Love will tear us apart. That's the third song I've butchered this
tear
podcast.
Us Apart will love us again. Enfield Gang Massacre #1 second printing.
Second printing. If you missed it like the first one, like me.
And we have probably the biggest release of this week. That is going to be a little thing called Transformers.
Not to be confused with the European version, Transformers.
That's it. You're
fired.
You're going to jail for that.
Fired. That's the second time I told that joke to Tristan. Today.
That joke you made, you go to jail now.
Yes.
But here's the thing. This is a really good comic. It's all Daniel Warren Johnson art. The only other
writing.
person is Mike Spicer, who's doing the coloring, and he's a great colorist for this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's also a big Transformers
I will say
fan.
more Transformers perish in it than I was expecting.
That is a thing with Transformers, especially the Japanese versions of this stuff. Like, Transformer casualties are disturbingly high. I mean, American kids going to see the Transformers movie, when they were like, yay, I love Transformers, the first 6 fucking minutes of that movie is just Autobots getting slaughtered.
Oh, wow.
And it's sad.
Rough.
It's weirdly sad. There's
it's
something
weird.
about robots dying that makes me sad. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's like the whole plot of Wall-E, right?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
it's
It's like 7 Wall-Es.
Oh man, it's funny for me because I'm not a Transformer person. I never read the comic. I never read the play with toys. I never watched the cartoon or the movie or any of that stuff. So like I'm in this for Daniel Warren Johnson. So I was like, it's good, it's fun, but it was interesting to me to kind of like oh, that's what this is about, or that's this guy's. I do wish one thing is that I wish that he clearly showed the bad guy. Like, I remember I had one Transformer toy. It was a tank, and when you stuck your finger on the sticker, it revealed that he was a bad guy.
I wish they would do that. I absolutely.
And so I do wish that every bad guy had that cool, clear label where I knew, okay, that's a bad guy, because they're basically all look the same.
Yeah, they do not have. I mean, that is interesting because it did not really. This was not something that like.
He mentions on one point the guy is like with the wings, the plane. He's like, I have this marking on my wings, and so, but like they never show the marking.
They show it a little bit.
Maybe they do. Yeah. I shouldn't say they never show it.
Yeah, the Decepticons versus the Autobot logos are very similar to somebody who isn't like a fan.
Yeah.
So I can see
Coming
absolutely.
Into it, I was like, oh, this guy's bad.
Yeah.
Why are they killing? I don't understand. Why do you shoot that robot in the face?
Why you shoot that robot in the face?
Why are you doing it?
Don't do that. I got to say, this is the best representation of. I know this is a weird thing to say, but the best representation of the difference in weaponry of Transformers was in this, because there's a big firefight in the middle of it. Like the thing that Void Rivals does, where it's like, what is this about? There's nothing going on. I don't know what's happening. The flip side of that is this Transformers comic where it's just explosions and shit blowing up, and like it is constant action and very fun. It's great.
I will say one missed opportunity.
What's that?
And that is that in the first one where you see one of them transform, which I won't say who it is or when it happens, they do a sideways panel.
Yes.
Just like go sideways, which is effective.
Yep.
But what I would have done, were I in charge of this Transformers thing, is I would have had pop up. So that like so the comic actually transformed.
That would be amazing.
And then boom, and it's like a huge thing of the transforming robot. Like how there's a missed opportunity right there.
That is,
even a fold out would work.
I gotta say,
but a pop up,
a transforming cover as a novelty for this series going forward, where it legitimately like it folds out in a mildly complicated way, but not super complicated.
What if it had panels that opened and like, so you remember those things that was like there would be three and you could make different faces out of like the different combinations. What if it was like that, but it was the way you could make different robots. You could make like an Optimus Prime with like a Megatron chin.
I'd be so into that. I am surprised that they're not trying something a little more fun like that.
Yeah. I mean, they clearly have the money.
Yeah. They are not fucking around on this series.
They got that Walking Dead money.
They got that Walking Dead money, and it is really good. Like, this is
comic's fun.
Here's the thing. I, as a child, was aware of Transformers. I enjoyed them. I loved the toys. I have liked some of the stuff that's gone on. I've watched the Transformers movies. I've hated every one of them, with the exception of Bumblebee, which reminded me of the original source material. I thought that was fun. I haven't seen the new one, so I guess I haven't seen all of them. But it's cool. I really dug this, and I'm gonna keep reading this Transformers comic, which seems like an odd thing for me to say. So there you go.
I hope that it keeps the spirit of that. Last week's number 2 came out, the Godzilla War for Humanity, which is my favorite like licensed property comic of right now. And I hope that this comic keeps the focus on the people around the Transformers as much as it does about the Transformers themselves, because it gets lost in the weeds of the Transformers and their personalities and their home plan or whatever. Like, the thing that makes the comic good is when there's an overall theme that relates to something that you understand as a reader, but then also like you have like, I don't know, I just like, I think like I could see myself not sticking. If like Warren Johnson stops drawing it, like I could see myself dropping this. But that said, if it's really good, I'll stick with it. Who knows? I'll give it the chance. I'm
interested because there is definitely, with this and with like a Godzilla comic,
there's always so good.
There's always the problem of how much do you concentrate on the big monster? Because if it's too little, it's like, why am I watching a Godzilla movie?
Right.
I want Godzilla in my Godzilla movie. And if it's constant Godzilla, you're like, okay, I think I'm inured, and then the size no longer, like the scope of the thing
Right.
that you're seeing is no longer impressive. If all you're seeing is Transformers all the time, you're like, well, then why is this weird? Now they're just Transformers and they're just like people.
Yep.
If you see it from a human perspective, you're like, oh shit, these things are giant, weird fucking aliens.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's fun. I don't know. I see it from both sides, and I can see that it is a precarious tightrope.
It
that
is.
they have
It
to-
is.
they
It
have
is a
to walk.
balance, and I will say that Godzilla comic is just like has the balance.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, that one
perfectly figured out.
absolutely
It
does.
is so goddamn good.
And
Anyway,
the art
Transformers
is
is good
so
too.
cool. Yeah, Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland with a Walking Dead cover here. This is a they're doing a bunch of image homages to Walking
Oh.
Dead. You got a bunch of characters from that series that people, I guess, like still.
Gotcha.
We've got the reprint with a fractalized cover of
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Vampirella.
That's not the cover of the.
That's not the original cover. The original cover was a Frazetta.
But why is it fractalized?
I don't know because they've already released a version of it that was not fractalized.
Oh, that's.
Maybe? I don't fucking know.
I think I bought that, and now I bought this again. What? I got to remember what comics I buy.
I can't tell you.
Oh man, that Tom Sutton art is so fucking.
It's so good.
Love
it's so
it.
good. This comic is so great.
Yeah.
Vampirella Dead Flowers is out this week. This is actually not
Does she
bad.
team up with the Rolling Stones and sing some blues rock songs about.
Yes, the super offensive, racially insensitive songs. No, but
I
this,
didn't look at this one.
the art is weird in this one, but I thought it was cool. It's a much rougher version of
Huh.
It
It's like kind of like Lemire-ish.
It
in a
is,
way.
and it also kind of calls to mind an original Vampirella comic, like
Yeah, a little
from the Goodwin kind of era. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it's cool. I mean,
cool.
it's no Venom Annual #1.
Oh yeah, where he fights Deadpool.
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 If you like Deadpool and you like Venom, guess what? You get that.
Yeah.
And if you like Walking Dead, you'll like Walking Dead Deluxe #72,
Yes.
which is a comic book that's out this week.
And.
And the newsprint edition of Walking Dead #1.
Yeah.
Check that shit
That's
out.
cool.
It
It's
is-
so when you pick up a whole stack and it weighs like the same
God,
amount
it's
as like
so light.
2 regular Walking Dead comics.
It's like if they would just switch back to this, then I would not hurt constantly
Yeah.
all the time whenever I'm moving stuff
You
around.
are literally, because paper, the paper they use
Mm-hmm.
in comics is basically part plastic and part clay, and you are literally moving like the equivalent of like CD cases and like
yeah.
like that. What else? Rocks.
Yeah, it's like moving National Geographics. It's very fucking heavy.
When I picked up that stack of the newsprint, and then Enfield comic as well is on newsprint, and it's like you pick up a stack of them, and it's like this weighs literally nothing. It's so awesome.
Yep. We have here X-Men #27.
Yeah, they. I like the art in this.
I liked this comic. I mean, I'm loving X-Men right now, so that's
Yeah.
no secret. I really like what's happening with the story, and I also really like Juggernaut as a good guy.
I like Juggernaut. I like seeing Juggernaut. I like that he's there. I like that he hangs out. I like that he's.
I liked seeing him care whether
Guess he's a
Cyclops
mutant
lived or
now?
died.
Yeah. I think he's a mutant now.
Is he?
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess they decided that he's a mutant. I mean, there seems to be some retcon going on here because he tries to explain the gem of Sidorak in this one,
Mhm.
and he's like, "I literally have the gem in my veins."
Oh.
And it's like, okay, what's that? I don't know what that means. And then there's a spoiler about something else about it later on in the issue that is like, I don't think you can do that. I think, according to the original version, Sidorak chooses who he, like, it's literally like it doesn't matter that you picked up the thing. Picking it up is only the smallest part of it. It's literally being granted this fucking Doctor Strange level demon gives his power to you,
Mhm.
Like you can't just be like, oh, now I have the gem, sucker. But
that is kind of how they used to do it, though.
I guess they did, because they did that with Colossus during Fear itself.
Yeah,
And he became the Juggernaut.
I do definitely
Jaegernaut.
not understand how sewing Cyclops' eyes shut makes his powers not work, but
That's not the point.
they
It's
poke his eyes out.
no,
Because why wouldn't you just do that?
but,
If you're gonna go to the trouble of sewing his eyes shut, why leave him there in the first place?
because if you save him, then he explodes and kills everybody. He's a trap.
Oh no, I got that. But like in terms of like Cyclops, like you got Cyclops as a prisoner, and in your deal is you want Cyclops not to blast you with his optic face.
Mm-hmm.
So you sew his his eyelids together, which is what they've done. But instead, I'm positing that perhaps it might be a better solution to actually poke his eyes out.
I think you might be right.
If the eyes are, I mean, maybe that
the
would,
windows
maybe
to
that
the
would,
soul.
maybe if you poke the eyes out, then it would just be a flood of cyclopean flood of energy or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Not sure.
You get me?
I puzzled over that probably a little bit too much, mainly because the cover is Cyclops. With
But it
his
also
eyeballs,
looks
eyelids.
fucking dope when he has his eyes sewn shut. But X-Force number 45 is out.
Yep.
X-Force is still great.
I still like that one.
Fall of X number 16.
Mhm.
Immortal X-Men number 16, that is. I didn't read this one. Oops.
That one is hard to process for me. X-Force is less hard to process for me. So
Yes,
that's the
fair
one.
enough.
That's the X-Men current comic that I hate the least.
Immortal has been the one that I've enjoyed really pretty consistently. Immortal, I've really liked Red. I've really liked Immortal. I like X-Force. And honestly, the ongoing regular X-Men series has been great. Or I have liked it. Listen, this is one of those things where, using language specifically to not quantify art as good or bad is something that I try my hardest to do, and I still fail constantly.
No, it's important.
And
It's important to remember. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. And that is something that I struggle with as well. And I do try very hard to be like. But I also then bristle when people do it to me when I'm like, I really like this comic, and someone's like, that comic is hideous.
Well,
and
right,
it's like, but it's not to me. I enjoy it, and I don't need you to fucking come piss on my fucking
and that's why,
joy.
And that's why that the language is important.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like, this is just something that I've had a hard time with my whole life, because I especially growing up fucking punk rock, like there's that whole thing where it's like, anything I don't like fucking sucks, and anybody that likes it is a jerk, and I don't like them, and I should probably get into a fight with them. And it's like, that is obviously a stupid way to live your life. It's an incredibly stupid way to live your life. And just in general, especially when you're dealing with art, it is subjective, regardless of what it is. Even if it's an X-Men comic, even if it's a Scooby-Doo comic, even if it's any country musician, it does not matter. Just because I find modern country music insulting to my intelligence, that does not mean that it is not valid. And it also doesn't mean that it really is insulting, because if you're going to tell me that just because the song Tequila Mockingbird is very stupid and the lyrics are dumb, that it's any dumber than Sheena as a punk rocker, I can't go with you on that, because Ramones lyrics are stupid too, and they're my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so, you know what?
I mean,
there you go.
You're also a fan of the Misfits, who also have stupid lyrics.
Have really fucking stupid lyrics, and they do the thing that I criticize a lot of things, like I would criticize death metal for sometimes, where it's just like, oh, you're a thesaurus band, where it's like, you found the word episiotomy, and so you used it in the song. Great, cute, but like,
well, just because it's out there doesn't mean you have to like it.
It doesn't
mean you have
but
to
it also doesn't
shit
mean you
on
have
it.
to shit on it either. And that is the truth, and it's so frustrating.
Don't yuck my yum. As much as I don't want to read an Alan Scott comic where he spends 3 pages like naked with a dude, like, and I say that like that, even the like, it's just that I don't want to read a comic where people are naked in bed. Like I just
Right.
like I don't
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
I don't.
No,
I
it-
mean,
it
and
falls
never
into-
say never, but it's just like I don't know. Like there's just like a certain. So I don't. I'm digging myself a little
Here's-
bit of a hole here, but I'm
no.
just like,
Okay.
it's just not what I'm looking for. But it doesn't mean it's bad, and it doesn't mean I need to shit on it. It just
Right.
means that I don't spend my money on it, and I don't read
if
it.
you were reading those Jim Lee issues from those Jim Lee X-Men issues from it was Jim Lee, right, who did all the like it's Psylocke and she's naked but she's got a wisp of smoke,
Right.
you know, all that shit, like those things that were like when you were 14 and you read the comic, you're like, this is the greatest comic I've ever read in my life. That's gonna be somebody who's reading that Alan Scott comic who's gonna be like, he's naked the whole time. This is the greatest comic I've ever read in my whole life.
Yeah,
it's
and I
like,
mean, it is
sure,
like
that's-
representation is important.
But it's
so
also-
like having like a, but like I just like I
and
feel
it's
like
funny that it's like scummy representation because it's the same as like it's that same kind of like Jim Lee sexy lady representation. Or scummy, sleazy.
Yeah.
That's the word I should be looking for. But that's
Yeah.
great.
yeah, I mean it's
Everybody
like
get your
everybody
own
get your
sleazy
like,
shit.
but like that said, like there was that comic last week, the
Holy shit.
where it was like, and as much as like I'm not gonna read that comic was fucking awesome. Like I don't feel like
And it had awesome fucking.
it had lots of fucking, like lots of it, but like that, like it's not my bag, but it's like it was treated differently. I don't know, whatever. It's
Exactly.
the
It's
nuances
neither,
of like
right of neither
naked
here.
white dudes in comics.
Yeah, there's
But like whatever.
exactly. It is interesting, but again, it's all about just understanding that art is art,
And just because it's not for you
Just
doesn't
'cause
mean
it ain't for you.
doesn't mean there ain't an audience, and doesn't mean it's bad.
and that even counts for things that really piss me off, and that's why I brought up modern country music. And for some reason, I find it very grating.
You just really like that. Don't try that in a small town song, and so you wanted to defend it.
That is a tough one to defend as art that is okay, but you know what?
No, I mean it's not because it's hateful music. Unfortunately, like that's what makes that different. It's not that it's like bad,
that does-
badly formed
Yeah,
pop music. It's that it's like full of hate,
Yeah.
and full of negativity, and
It is.
that's why you should reject it.
And it's also a song based on a bad political take. You know.
Yes,
And also
I
by
don't know very much about it.
somebody who ran away from a fucking shooting. So
I don't know anything about it. Be honest, I know it exists as a cultural touch
touchstone.
point.
Yeah. Anyway,
Comics.
comic books are something else. So don't read comics in a small town.
What about any
don't
other
do it.
notable trades?
I mean, we talked about some of the notable trades.
What about that Futurama one?
Oh, that's pretty cool. There's I don't know if that's technically this week or last week, but either
I didn't
way,
see it last week.
there is a Futurama comic out, which is an Xmas comic, and it's written by Matt Groening, I think.
Oh, cool.
I think it's literally, maybe it's ghost written, but it says it's written by Matt Groening in the solicit.
Neat.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's a kid's book. It's basically like a Futurama kid's book about Xmas, and it's, goofy and over the
Nice.
top and very Futurama-y. And
Cool.
that new season of Futurama still rules.
Oh, is it good?
Futurama's still great.
Nice. That's good to know.
It's very much less about the sad dog episodes. So
That
They
one
have-
is very sad.
they have accepted that they need to not do any more sad dog episodes. So I appreciate that. Anyway, I got to edit this son of a bitch and get this thing out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sign
We
off.
are rambling.
And yeah, we will see you next week. Thank you for listening, and rate and review and all that stuff. Like us. Watch the videos if you want to. Subscribe to our video feed. Subscribe to our newsletter.
Check out
Oh,
the Funbox Monster podcast as well.
Check that out. We did Ghoulies. I think we're doing something. We're doing Slaughterhouse Rock this week. Soundtrack by Devo.
Ooh, what?
Yeah, and also there's our screening of Blood Diner coming
Yeah.
up at the end of October. Please go to that. We're making a bunch of merch for that. We're gonna do like screen printed posters and things. And please do it. It's a big deal. Even if you're like somebody who's like, I don't know if I like horror movies. It's gonna be a fun time. We're all gonna show up and it'll be a blast. So
Yeah.
come out, represent, show that you want fun, silly things, even if it might not be your thing. Represent so that we can have the idea that there's still things that we want to do, that we want to actually keep trying.
Definitely.
Because,
it's the season for film. Can I plug my thing?
Yes.
On Friday the 13th at the State Theater is Damnation Land, and I did the credits music for it.
Congratulations.
So my music will be on stage at the State Theater in the only way I can get it there, which is in the credits of a film festival.
That's awesome.
But whatever, I'm pretty psyched that they decided to use it. And so that's coming up.
That's really awesome.
That's Friday the 13th.
Nice. Friday the 13th, Damnation Land.
And then after if you get go to that only if you are also going to go to a Blood Diner.
Yes, also.
That's my ask.
One of my favorite things, I don't know. I think it just speaks to how awesome the people who run Damnation Land are. Somebody came across and did a poster. Somebody said, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool to do the Baphomet with a moose?" And they did it, and they were like, and then somebody was like, "Hey, that's kind of a thing already with a particular brand, and they kind of have the market on that, and it's Coast City's thing, and maybe don't use the Baphomoose thing." And I got an email from the person who ran the thing, and she was like, "I'm so sorry, we didn't know," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Hey, I don't make t-shirts, and we're cool, man.
Yeah,
like, that's totally fine. You were very cool about it and awesome, and I like those people."
Yeah, no, all the producers are really good, including my wife.
Oh yeah, and
she's one of them.
And the person who like runs it, who like gets
Alan?
the woman Mackenzie.
Yeah. That's her name.
Yes. She's awesome as well. She's the one that contacted me, and she also I feel terrible because I got her involved in a film project with somebody who was a total dick to her, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I feel like anyone who takes on a film project is running the risk of getting involved with someone who's going to be a dick to you.
Yes, yeah, it's fair.
But I mean,
Anyway.
at least it's a risk. I don't know how strong a risk, but
Shit
seems from the stories I've been hearing to be at least a solid risk.
Sure is. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.